Excellency, Madam Ambassador of Embassy of Russia, Mrs. Lyudmila Vorobyeva.
Good morning.
Okay, how are you, Madam?
Very well, thank you.
On behalf of MyCity, I personally would like to say thank you very much for becoming our source of information today.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions regarding to the relationship between Indonesia and Russia. So let's start with the history. Okay. The relationship between Indonesia and Russia has been established for 71 years. So how you describe it?
Oh, maybe already 72.
Yes.
72 years. Indeed, it has been a long history of our traditional good relations. As you know, our country were very close in the 60s when President Sukarno visited our country 4 times, if I'm not mistaken, and our country has helped to build some of very well-known buildings in Jakarta, like Gelora Bung Karno was built for the Second Asian Games in 1962. After President Sukarno delivered a speech, a public speech in one of the Moscow stadiums, Luzhniki, it exists still now, and President Sukarno asked our leader Nikita Khrushchev to help to build the same stadium in Jakarta, and it was done. So Gelora Bung Karno is an exact copy of the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. Yes, also we have a hospital in Jakarta, Rumah Sakit Bersahabat, that was built by our country, and in the 60s there were doctors and nurses and equipment supplied by our country to this hospital. Until now, there's some of the equipment that is still working from the 60s. It's an elevator and a washing machine. Also, Tugatani, it also was built by. This monument was built by a Russian sculptor. And so these are symbols of our friendship. And the most recent one, in February last year, we have installed the statue of Gagarin in Taman Mataram. And you know, Gagarin is the first person who went to space, for we call him cosmonaut. Also, it's a present from Moscow to Jakarta. So it's now in Taman Mataram. As you know, also we helped to actually establish Krakatau Steel, and also it was quite a considerable contribution from our country to ensure territorial integrity of Indonesia in the 60s. So this indeed our friendship dates since the 60s, and of course there were ups and downs, but since Ibu Megawati Sukarnoputri visited Russia in 2003 and met President Putin, our relations have been on the rise, and we've seen an increase in trade. We have some joint investment projects. We have cooperation in education. Now around 700 Indonesian students study in Russia. Tourist exchanges were very considerable before COVID, of course, yes. So there are many areas of cooperation that we can explore, and I think our cooperation has a big potential.
So how would you describe the relationship between Indonesia and Russia during the colonial era, in the Soviet era until now?
I would say that we actually, as you know, the Soviet Union was a very big proponent of decolonialization, and we were helping many countries in the world, including Indonesia. But you know, even before that, we had some relations with Indonesia. Our first consulate was opened in the 19th century in Batavia, and our crown prince Nicholas II, who later on became the emperor of Russia, he visited also Batavia, during his trip in Asia, where he visited Indonesia, when he visited Siam, Thailand, he visited Japan, and so he stayed here 3 days, and he visited Bogor, and he described Batavi and Java as a luxurious island, so he liked it very much. Then later on he became the emperor of Russia, Nicholas II. And the recent story, it's quite interesting that I can tell you that we, our embassy, we discovered the grave of a Russian Navy officer in Aceh, in Kota Sabang, Wet Island. We knew from the archives that there was a Russian Navy officer, a Lieutenant Khaklov, who died in 1901 when one of the Russian Navy ships was traveling through the Malacca Straits, and there was an anchor chain that snapped and hit him on the head, and he died. At that time, of course, it was impossible to transport the body back home, so he was buried in one of the Dutch cemeteries in Kota Sabang. We knew about that, but we couldn't find the grave. And after some long efforts trying to find it, we found it in 2019. It was destroyed, but we found the inscription, and we have restored it. We've even have brought a cross, because he was Christian, of course, a cross from Moscow. We put it on the grave, and now we are maintaining the grave, and we are very grateful to the administration of Kota Sabang for helping us to do so. So you see, we have these relations since a very long time ago.
So, Russia helped Indonesia establish UNCLOS. Apart from that, what are other contributions that Russia made for Indonesia?
Well, if we look into history, in the 60s we provided a lot of assistance to Indonesia in defense area as well. You know, in Surabaya you can see the monument of the submarine. It's a Russian submarine. It was given to Indonesia in the 60s to allow Indonesia to preserve its territorial integrity. We built some roads in Kalimantan. I mentioned Krakatau Steel, so there was a lot of assistance, and our experts were working in Indonesia, our doctors and nurses, teachers. Many of Indonesians studied in the Soviet Union in the 60s. Now we have the testimony of that. We have some mixed families living in Jakarta when Indonesians married Russian girls. Now they're old ladies already, but they live in Jakarta. So one of the symbols of our friendship is the song Rayuan Pulau Kelapa. It was translated into Russian, and before President Sukarno came first time to our country, there was a movie, a documentary movie made on Indonesia, and the soundtrack for this movie was Rayuan Pulau Kelapa. It was translated into Russian, so people of older generation, they know this song in Russian, and in Russian the title of the song is Indonesia My Love. So it just shows the very warm feeling that Russians have to